of Fab City Grand Paris with Vincent Guimas, for example, here, and also Francesco Singolani. And I will present one project we run called REFLOW, which is stand for co-creating circular resource flow in cities. And this is an kind of intermediate point I will share with you where we are and how actually it's also a Fab City project. And so this project is based on the ambition to propose some strategy for cities to go from linear to circular. And this is the question of how we create new tools for thinking the supply chain. So the idea is, and you know probably the two diagram I show. The idea is how actually we will engage different actors and stakeholders from different level, from the bottom level, what we call, such as a citizen, but also such as Fab Labs and this type of thing, and to the city networks. So it's also an engagement from cities. And so there's almost 30 partners of from Fab Labs to cities that are engaged in this project. So you see all the logo here, and it's what is interesting is it's various. There are a lot of different stakeholders. It's not only Fab Labs and cities, it's also engineers and also think tank and a lot of people with expertise and skills to help think from the technical part to the social part, and also with local stakeholders. And this is what is important, is it's a mix of this different approach that is interesting to see. And what the ambitious is to release at the end tools from REFLOW, which would be composed by different things like handbooks and toolkits, documentation, business strategy, but also platform and webinars. And this REFLOW will be kind of the core of what we're doing. Is like will be the connection between all of the partners. What we're doing is developing tools in different cities and with different thematics for which will be connected to REFLOW OS. So I was saying we're almost like we are exactly 28 partners, and we are in 9 different countries in Europe, and we have 6 pilot cities. And it's important to understand that the cities will carry some thematics. So Amsterdam, Berlin, Milan, Paris, Verge, and Cluj-Napoca. So who doesn't know where is Verge? Verge is in Denmark, and Cluj-Napoca is in Romania. And I will go through now all the 6 thematic, and what I will try to show is where we are now. Just to let you know, the REFLOW project is a 36 months project, and we are out of the 24 first month. So we still have 1 year to run. So what I will show you today is what I say at the introduction is the intermediate point and reflection we develop all together and what we want to share at the end. For example, Verge is working on circular plastic. So the aim to reduce the recycled plastic. So so it's a partnership between the city of Verge and the Dansk design centers. And what they're doing is developing prototyping. It's also finding governance materials, but also business and engagement with citizens. So what they're doing is there are a lot of workshop with citizens to engage them in the process of reducing plastic. One is Amsterdam, is about textile, is how actually they rethink the life cycle of textile in collaboration with citizens and stakeholders. So there is like 4 partners from Bike Society, which is also the working package leaders of the whole pilots. BMA Techne, Parkus and the Zigzer, sorry for the pronunciation, and the city of Amsterdam. What they're doing is the same thing. Is also going to the storage where they find like clothes from how to say that, where people throw the clothes. So this is like on the left, like stock of not yet reused clothes, and then also work with workshop to also test materials and also engage citizens. The idea is also same thing than Belge, is also to create event and create also a book, a handbook on this. Podcast and also a lot of workshop. Berlin is on the wastewater heat recovery. This one is interesting because it's not about the materials itself. It's about like an opportunity about the heat on a public in the public space, like the public heat system. So they work with Focus, Prototype, MCS Data Lab, and Berliner Weiss Beaters, which is the public heat suppliers. And what they will do is release movies and also like a different material for communication, but also an application to understand where to get the heat sources. Milan is about food, is how actually they will look for at the end of every market. There is a lot of waste, so it's to actually capture to actually to upside to not recycling, because it's not recycling, actually get the food and to put it in the new cycle. So it's how actually they create a set of tools that will be put in the market, and in order to track the food and reduce waste. So this is very interesting because this has to be very, very real time in terms of processes. And Cluj-Napoca is about energy. So it's developing a platform for actually monitor the energy as well. It's the same than Berlin approach. It's like how they create a device that actually understand where the energy is wasted and how to be reused. So now I will talk about Paris because it's what we coordinate, and I will go a bit more further in details with Paris, because it's to actually illustrate what we're doing now. And I cannot go that much detail with the other because I only have 20 minutes. But after, we'll feel free to contact the others if one of the thematic is interesting. So Paris is about wood in temporary construction, because wood is actually a material that we use a lot, and there is a lot of waste in that, and because it's actually France is producing 7.2 million tons of wood waste per year. This is like 2012 numbers from the public office, and it's interesting, and I guess it also increased. So what we are doing in Paris is we set up tools, but also 3 strategy. The 3 strategy is how to equip, like creating tools for helping actually the reuse of the materials, but also an approach of how to design and also raise awareness and evaluate. It's like so, and there is the different tools, and I will go into few of them, not all, but for actually helping the strategy to be set up. And another thing is also we have REFLOW has a transversal core, and also some like the tracing label, which is transversal and driven also incubation. So the Paris consortium is composed by 4 partners. So there is 5 City Grand Paris that I represent, and we are 4 in this team with Sarah Goldberg, Manon, and Violaine. But there is also Ars Longa, and I will go furthermore with Vincent Guimas, which is present in the room, Volumes, and the City of Paris. And it's key to have all this because it's different approach, and also and this different approach enrich and have actually to set down the strategy. I will start with Volume, which is we will actually tackle the task of educational and incubation program and research. Volume is a Fab Labs and also a co-working space and a food lab space in Paris, and now it's actually developing in different places. And what they develop is an incubation program called Driven, and it aims to embed advanced computational design strategy in early stage entrepreneurship for circular economy. This is a very ambitious program where there is expert, but also a startup that they want to develop project based on knowledge from this expert and with challenge given by industrial partners. And at the end, it's helped to develop some approach. So they have a different stage of development from the ideation to development and to pilot project. So this is the first session, and they have 2 incubated. I will present 2 incubated startup, which is Elements and Mattersite. So Elements is actually a young startup with 2 young architects, and what they try to aim is to track with RFID device to know where some material is going in and out. So this is interesting. It's like how they connect with an application and database and a device, the element tools, to keep track on these different materials. The second one is Mattersite. It's actually from YAC at the start. They developed this project in YAC, and then now developing into a startup, and they try to analyze through an app and to understand what are the elements and scanning the element inside, which allow them to create another database. So that's the two actually company that were incubated and driven. I will go for Ars Longa now, the second partners of the Paris consortium, and Ars Longa is a media's design research and urban design, and they develop different approach in terms of cartography, in terms of mapping. And what they develop is a relabel, and this is like a label which help people and citizens to understand and the circularity of a product, and how to create a community, quantify and qualify, and also exchange and good practices, and it will be released into a toolbox. Now we'll go for Fab City Grand Paris. What we are doing with the teams we're developing in Restore based in Saint-Denis the approach of trashing product out. And this is, so I took back from, Pito Dido, but this is Pito Tipo. And what is trying to do in the, with Fab City Paris is to develop a process also of how to acquire elements, to store, to smart storage it, to actually define and scan them, to index them, to sort them, to put back into a marketplace or database, and also to transform them into standards to be used. So this is the process of trashing to product. So the smart storage is how actually we develop a tag and based on an app and see where in real time each element, because this is one of the key questions into circularity, is like to know what you have in real time. And this is where it's based in Saint-Denis. We mount this storage actually to experience, to prototype this storage, the smart storage. So then the first database, which is actually for a Google Sheet, but it will be more in, it will go to an SQL database. Now it's in development. But then it's actually identify each element of the storage. And what we realize is also that what is important is the moment of acquiring or characterization of elements is actually what is taking a lot of time. So we also develop a device called the dimension use. And the idea of this dimension use is to semi-automated the scanning of each element in order to create a database that could be used by architect, designer, and event planners. And this is where we are. So this is at the left, the first prototype, and the second, which was a product like 1 year ago, but it will allow only a very small element to be scanned. And now we are working on a bigger one, which is allowing to have like bigger pieces, and based on webcam and a Raspberry Pi. And the idea is this will be in a Creative Commons license, in order that everyone can actually would be able to use it and to develop it, in order to create a community around this project, and with and then actually enrich the database. The idea is to create easily a database from different fab labs, but also craftsmen, but also resource centers, this type of things. Right now, the result has some errors, but the idea is like they start to be more and more precise, and we're doing a machine learning process to actually reduce the error. So based on this, all tools that I just show from Paris, the idea is how actually from an event to another event or temporary structures is how actually we can process the different tools that we can reduce and also understand what is going in, what is going on, and the circularity of the event or temporary structures. And the idea is then when you have this is how actually you connect to REFLOW as an European level. So that's what I was saying. We started in 2019. We are today in 2021. And so like the first 2 years was for defining the common strategy and developing tools with partnership. Now we're in the process of testing with partners and also starting to have feedback. And the idea is after 2022 is to develop, to deploy the REFLOW OS. And this is where I will stop, is on this slide that you all know from a lot of presentation of Fab City and Thomas. It is the Pito Dido. The idea of what we're doing is how to engage the city and how to engage in different city, some strategy that will be shared with others. And the idea then is how you create the circularity, and all these tools will be in the platform of REFLOW OS in order to be shared. So I hope then in 2022 when we'll meet probably, I hope, in the Fab City Summit, the next Fab City Summit, I will be able to actually show you this platform of REFLOW OS and all the tools that will be developed or under development, because the idea is we'll probably to share with also you, because you are makers, to help to develop and to also use these tools, because then it will make sense. Thank you, everyone. And if you want more information, you've got the different, it's the website reflow project.eu, and the other website that we are developing, .paris, the wow.paris for the redimensioners, and restore.xy for the collective reuse materials. Thank you. And I'm set. I'm done with my 20 minutes.
Merci beaucoup, Louis. C'était une excellente présentation. Est-ce qu'il y a des questions? Vous pouvez utiliser vos microphones maintenant, s'il y a des questions. Alors, on a des commentaires. It was fascinating. Thank you. Very interesting presentation. If you have any question, please ask them now.
Hi, this is Dean from Urbana. One question I have is, you are going through the process of sorting and hydrating the material to put it into your inventory. I suppose, I mean, how much are you able to get out of the raw data stream? I mean, for example, you showed a picture of a site where there was a lot of wood and debris, and you can only probably salvage some of that. So did you have any kind of rough estimate as to, you know, where you are now in terms of how much you can recover and reuse? Where are you now, and where would you like to go? I mean, obviously you'd like to get as much recovery as possible, but what is kind of the expected trajectory of actually getting some circularity into the system? You're muted.
Sorry, I realized that I was muted. Thanks for your question, Dean. It's a good question, and it's the goal, the ultimate goal is 99%, right? It's how you get the maximum of reuse material and security. In our experimentation, we went up to 90% and 94% of recovery into a project with this process, because what's happening is like knowing what you have at a certain point, like from the storage, we have 100% of the element, because this is our storage, right? The idea is like how we will do it with the other storage, because what we want to do is not only for our storage, it's for the different resource storage. But because we know what we have, we can design. You know, do you know the inverted design process is like to not design and after to choose materials, but to design with what you have. And because you know what you have in the storage, then you can actually design it. So we succeed to have some project up to 90% of reused materials through this process. But this is like specifically because it was in a storage that we know with everything we trace, and it was a temporary project, so we put it on the public field and then the public space, and then we take it back 100%, which is now actually going to other projects. So, But the idea is to help all the storage to acquire as much as possible, but the real how do you say that importance of the idea is that they all feed the same database with the same standards. Because if everyone is actually feeding the database, right, you will have elements from different location, and also, so then when you do inverted design, the more choice you have, the more freedom you have. Because the same thing is like you're looking for pieces because you were doing like I don't know an architecture project, but then this pieces is somewhere, and you have the probability to find it, a better probability to find it if everyone try to actually feed the same database. And this is actually what is the problematic today, is like everyone has database but doesn't share it. So the idea is how you go to another level to share it. Then if everyone share the database in the same standard, then you have like an overview of everything. And what is interesting about REFLOW OS is based on the blockchains, everything like blockchain technology. So it will also how to say that certificate what you have, and also be able to secure the transaction for them. So I don't know if I answered your question, but this is so
Yeah, I think you did. I mean, actually, you're right. You have to think about it differently as a designer, because what you're kind of providing is a place where there's an inventory of materials, and you're saying design products on, what is actually coming into, whatever area you are in. So yeah, that's a very interesting idea.
Good. Do you have other question?
You're muted, Claude.
Again, I'm muted again.
Okay. We are a little bit beyond the time, but there was another question. It was from Philip Schmidt, and it was in the chat. What will REFLOW operating system require in terms of infrastructure, and how will that be sustained over time?
So in terms of infrastructure, I'm not an expert about that, but what I understand is it will be a distributed database also. So the REFLOW OS will be held by different local server in different cities. But the idea is like everyone can access through the web to know what everyone can have and everything. But I don't think it's if you want to use it, they will be released into a GitHub that you can download and just install and start to create your own local point. That's my understanding, but I'm not an expert. But there will be a full documentation about that. They're pretty advanced in this part because we need it because now as a pilot, we need to connect every tools to REFLOW OS, which is not an easy part because as you I'm an architect but I don't know, so I'm not sure about implementing this type of infrastructure. It's okay for Philips? Oh
yeah, I think my question was not necessarily about how to install it in other places, but assuming that this kind of data asset becomes very important for this kinds of flows, and will eventually require, for instance, fast servers to deliver, I don't know, access to images, and possibly will scale up a lot. How much it will depend on the, sources of funding similar to the ones that are offered for this pilot project. So I guess my question is, who will pay for the infrastructure once the pilot is done and once the project funding is done?
And there's a business model behind this whole thing. It's like, so that the idea is like how actually you sustain the system, and for everything we already thought about this stuff. We still, I'm not sure of the decision we made, but there's a business model behind that. It's like, and because materials has values. So if you think about that, if the materials circulate, then you have also values circulating in terms of, and it doesn't mean necessarily financially, but it could be other way. But that's the idea. Is like creating security is also creating business. So and then with this money or financial or other means, you can also then sustain the system. I guess also what you raise is the question of there will be a difference between, do we need to go always European than to go to local, or can we actually go directly to local? And I think this is what I was showing. There's probably also in this here, there's probably a local level to be actually faster in terms. I think would be my guess, but I'm not an expert again.
Yeah, just if I can only add one last comment. I made this comment also in other sessions of the summit, that one application such as this could potentially leverage legislation on the right to repair that is becoming even more regulated these days, and it's very interesting. There are very interesting developments on the right to repair, zero waste projects, and also now, Green New Deal. So tie in with those things would make sense, I guess, even to help fund these kinds of applications that are useful for so many users.
Yeah. It was not a question. But the aim is actually to be more useful for everyone. And I was reading another comment.
Yes, it's from Fumiko Ishikawa. Maybe you can ask your question directly.
Hi.
Yes.
Sorry, it's I have my network a bit slow, so I have my camera off. It's fascinating that you've already started this project in the middle of in Paris, and do you already have some examples of how architects and designers are utilizing some of those materials?
Well, that's what I was explaining. But we, in terms of now, we kind of putting the experimentation. We've been doing small part, not connected, and what we want to do now is to connect all this part. So we have projects based on the storage we saw. We have testing of the storage and the tagging system. And now what we're doing is we're going with partners that actually have needs. For example, some resource centers that already exist, that we go into them and put the storage, the system with them, and then to see how we can use that for experimenting and creating this tool. So I would show you. I didn't put in this presentation. We have other projects that like architecture project. We for demonstrating the invert design system. But that is I would say another presentation because I only have 20 minutes. What I wanted to show today was how actually 6 pilot cities is working into this idea of creating tools together and putting in the database. And we're working with wood, but other people are working with food, which is interesting. Is the same approach but with a different temporality and also different materials. So it's that's what is interesting, is how actually we connect our approach to actually enrich what we're doing. That is actually what is difficult also, is because food is not wood, so it's also a different approach as well.
Right. I think also in this is also a project that we have in Japan, but with the actual city called Satsuma Sendai, we're thinking of trying to also think of a circular type of city in the future. And there are some actual also like a recycle and upcycle centers with some materials stocked, and that's something that we're trying to create in the coming year or so, also depending on how the COVID-19 goes. But love to know more, and how perhaps that we could also think of applying the similar type of tools.
Yeah.
So that we will definitely reach you out, and thank you for the information today.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure what the protocol is, but normally we're supposed to end the session. We were supposed to end it at 11. So I think we'll stop here, but we have coordinates. We'll stay in touch. Fumiko, would it be possible to put your coordinates in the chat?
Yeah, I think that she put it already.
Yes, I wrote an email address.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I see. Yes. Republic at Japan.
Yes.
So please also, yes, please also connect with us into the email. Don't hesitate also to send me an email. And I will keep you posted. And the idea is in 1 year, next year, we'll be ready to release where we are. I mean, I'm not sure we'll be fully, or the goal would be reached, but the idea is actually to be to have something and to share it with you guys. Anyway, that's good.
Wonderful, thank you.
This is really fascinating, and it's great that many regions of the world are working on similar projects in Japan, in Europe, and I'm quite sure in the Americas too.